Chosen one, tell me, what do you do when the universe breaks you open so deeply that even your soul feels like rubble beneath your feet? What do you do when everything you built, believed in, hoped for, begins to fall apart in silence? You've lived long enough to know this isn't just about failure. It's something deeper, a sacred undoing. And tonight, you're not here by accident. This message isn't a coincidence, it's a confirmation. You see, there comes a moment in every chosen one's journey where the very fabric of who you thought you were begins to tear. A moment where you question your path, your worth, your timing. A moment that whispers to your soul, maybe I missed it. Maybe I'm too late. Maybe destiny passed me by. And yet if that were true, why would your heart still ache for something more? Why would this video find you now, here, in this quiet, intimate space between the world's noise and your soul's longing? There is a sacred ache only the chosen understand. It's the ache of walking through life carrying spiritual depth, emotional pain, and divine longing that the world rarely sees. It's the weight of feeling forgotten by destiny while silently holding on to the knowing that you were called. That somehow, God hasn't abandoned you. He's just been silent, and the silence is its own kind of instruction. Tell me, have you ever looked at your life and wondered why it felt like the universe itself conspired to dismantle you? Jobs lost, relationships fractured, dreams deferred. The collapse wasn't just outer, it was inner. But maybe, just maybe, that collapse was sacred. Maybe the tearing down was never a punishment. Maybe it was a holy demolition, a divine invitation to strip away everything built on fear so you could finally rise on truth. You're not too old. You're not too late. Your spiritual journey isn't over. It's shifting. This isn't the end of your calling. It's the clearing, the wilderness, the cocoon. You're not behind, chosen one. You're in the middle of a divine pause. And in that pause, God is preparing the foundation for something you can't yet see. Now I'll ask you something serious. You have a choice right now. You can click away, go back to the noise, the scrolling, the distraction, and lose the clarity your soul's been crying for. Or you can stay until the end. Stay and receive the words that were meant to confirm what your spirit already knows. And if you do, you'll walk away lighter, stronger, remembering. If you've ever felt forgotten by destiny, if the pain of starting over spiritually in midlife has ever haunted your nights, this video will bring you home to something ancient inside you. So stay. And as you listen, drop a 111 or 777 in the comments to let your soul be counted among the chosen. This is more than a video. It's a sanctuary for the ones walking through holy fire. And let me be clear, if you don't stay until the end, you may miss the one truth that your spirit came here to remember. Not everything that hurts is meant to break you. Some things hurt because they are meant to wake you. Whenever the world gets too heavy, this space is here. Come back to rest your soul. Come back to remember who you are. Like this message, subscribe to this space of sacred remembrance and let the journey begin. There is a moment in the journey of the chosen where everything once solid begins to fall away. Not in chaos, but in silence. In the kind of silence that doesn't ask for permission. It just arrives. And with it comes the unraveling. The roles you played, the strength you wore, the identity you carried like armor. One by one, it all begins to collapse. And you're left there, barefoot on the ruins of a life that no longer fits you. You see, the sacred breakdown isn't loud. It doesn't come with warning signs. It comes with stillness. With the quiet realization that you don't recognize yourself anymore. That the dreams you chased no longer inspire you. That the people you once gave everything to can no longer hold space for who you are becoming. This is not a failure. It is a holy turning, a spiritual disrobing. And if you're in this space right now, it's not because you lost your way. It's because you found the door. God has a way of pulling down the scaffolding of our false identity when it's time to build something eternal. And for the chosen ones, that demolition often begins in midlife. Just when the world says you should have figured it all out, Spirit invites you into a deeper undoing, not to shame you, but to free you, to tear down what fear built so that faith can rise. This is where your true life begins, not in the success of the past, but in the sacred destruction that precedes divine reconstruction. It may feel like everything is falling apart, but beneath the breaking, something sacred is unfolding. There is a divine design in the breakdown. It's where the ego loosens its grip, where illusions begin to dissolve, where you finally look in the mirror and say, I don't want to keep pretending, I don't want to keep surviving, I want to wake up. Chosen one, this collapse is not here to ruin you, it's here to resurrect you. You are being stripped only of what was never really you. You are being brought back to the center of your soul, not to be destroyed, but to be delivered. The Bible whispers this mystery with grace. Unless a grain of wheat falls to the ground and dies, it remains alone. But if it dies, it bears much fruit. That dying isn't about death. It's about transformation, about shedding the husk of who you were so that the seed of who you really are can be born. You are not alone in this. Many are called, but few are chosen to walk this kind of holy unraveling. The ones who do are marked, not by perfection, but by pain, by the kind of pain that breaks open the heavens inside you. That pain is not your enemy, it is your invitation. So if you're in the middle of the sacred breakdown, I want you to know, you're not broken, you're being recalibrated, rerouted, reborn. You are being taught to listen again, not with your ears, but with your soul. And what you hear in the ruins will be the foundation of everything that comes next. This isn't punishment. This is prophecy. This is the part of your journey that most will not understand. But those who've walked through their own ashes will see you. They will know you by the light rising quietly in your eyes, the light that only comes from walking through holy fire. There is a special kind of ache that lives in the heart of the chosen when destiny feels like it has gone silent. You've prayed, you've waited, you've tried to do everything right. And yet, here you are, still, hidden, unseen. You feel the calling in your bones, but the path keeps disappearing. You wonder if maybe it's too late, if maybe you missed the door, if maybe, just maybe, your time has come and gone. You see, the illusion of delay is one of the sharpest swords the enemy uses to cut into a chosen one's hope. Because the pain of invisibility is not just about being ignored by others. It's about the fear that even God has looked away. But let me show you something. The delay is not a punishment. It is a holding place, a divine suspension, a sacred hallway between the breakdown and the breakthrough. Chosen ones don't follow normal timelines. You're not called to a path that makes sense to the world. Your route bends with spiritual timing, not earthly clocks. And often, the more powerful the calling, the longer the preparation. You are not being delayed. You are being developed. Think about the oak tree. For years, there's no sign of growth above ground, but beneath the soil, the roots are going deeper, stronger, wider. Because what's coming will need that kind of anchoring, that kind of silent strength. God builds in secret what he intends to reveal in glory, and you, chosen one, are in that secret place. Maybe you've watched others rise while you remain in silence. Maybe you've tried to force open doors that stayed closed. Maybe you've questioned your own worth, thinking, why not me? Why not now? But let me remind you of this. Just because the vision hasn't arrived yet, doesn't mean it's not real. The word says, though it tarry, wait for it. Because it will surely come, it will not delay. That means divine timing does not operate by your watch. It moves by your becoming. Destiny is not just a place. It's a version of you that must be born. And sometimes, that birth requires the death of every timeline you imagined. This waiting season isn't about stillness alone. It's about alignment. It's about shedding what can't come with you. About healing the parts of you that would sabotage the very thing you've prayed for. It's about forming a vessel strong enough to carry the oil without cracking under the weight of it. Let me tell you something sacred. Many of the chosen think they're being left behind, but in truth, they're being sent ahead, prepared in secret to become leaders in a world that has yet to awaken. You've been hidden not because you're unworthy, but because you're holy, set apart. God hides his most precious vessels before he pours them out. So if you feel forgotten by destiny, pause and listen deeper. That silence is not emptiness, it's preparation. The delay is a grace in disguise, a soft whisper from heaven saying, not yet, but soon. And when it comes, you will not question why it took so long. You'll only marvel at how perfect the timing was. Stay grounded, chosen one. The pause is not the end. It is the breath before the revelation. Keep walking. Keep trusting. Because when it does come, it will not be small. It will not be rushed. It will not be temporary. It will be divine. There's something most people don't talk about when it comes to spiritual awakening: shame. Not the loud kind, not the kind that others point out, but the quiet, relentless shame that lives in the hearts of the chosen. The kind that whispers late at night, reminding you of who you used to be, what you should have done, and where you think you failed. The shame of having a divine calling but a broken past. Tell me, have you ever sat alone and thought, why would God choose someone like me? Have you looked back on your past mistakes, the seasons of confusion, the relationships that took more than they gave, and felt the weight of it press against your chest like a silent accusation? Chosen ones feel deeply, and that depth often comes from wounds the world doesn't see, wounds that formed long before the calling was ever understood. But let me show you something. That shame you carry, it's not the enemy of your calling. It's the doorway to it, because the very places you feel disqualified are often the places where God will pour his greatest glory. Your past isn't in the way of your purpose. It's the soil where your power was formed. You see, the ones who are called to deep healing are usually the ones who have known deep hurting. The chosen ones don't rise clean and polished. They rise covered in the ashes of who they used to be. And it is in those ashes that the true identity is found. Not the performance, not the perfection, but the truth. Shame is tricky. It tells you that your story is too dark, too chaotic, too inconsistent for God to use. But the Bible says, those who look to him are radiant. Their faces are never covered with shame. That radiance doesn't come from getting it all right. It comes from surrender. From saying, God, I bring you all of me, not just the healed parts, but the hidden ones. When you do that, something sacred happens. The shame begins to lose its grip, because shame only survives in silence. And you, chosen one, are no longer meant to live in hiding. You're not meant to wear the mask of who you think you should be. You're being called to strip it all back and rise as you are, flawed, healing, holy. Let me tell you why shame hurts so much. It's not just about what you did. It's about the fear that what you did defines who you are. But the truth is, your identity is not rooted in your failures. It's rooted in the God who never left you through them. He saw the darkness. He sat with you in it, and he chose you anyway. You are not unworthy because of your past. You are powerful because of your survival. Every tear you've wept in secret, every choice you regret, every version of yourself you had to bury, none of it is wasted. All of it has been woven into the sacred pattern of your becoming. So let the shame rise. Let it come up so it can be released. You don't have to carry it anymore. You are not that version of yourself. You are not your lowest moment. You are not your greatest mistake. You are a vessel being refined by fire, and that fire is not meant to burn you, it's meant to reveal you. Chosen one, the shame you feel is not proof that you've failed. It's proof that you've grown, that you care, that your heart is still alive beneath the bruises, and that heart is what God will use, not despite your past, but through it. You see, emotional pain doesn't just visit the chosen ones, it lives with them. It moves into the corners of your heart and whispers when no one else is around. But not because you are weak, it's because you were wired to feel deeply. God didn't design you to be numb. He designed you to perceive the weight of things, the energy in rooms, the sorrow in other people's eyes. And while that sensitivity may have made you feel broken in this loud, shallow world, it's actually your spiritual antenna. Chosen ones are marked not just by calling but by capacity. The capacity to carry light in dark places. The capacity to sit with grief and not look away. The capacity to feel what others run from. That emotional pain you carry, it's not a curse, it's a compass. It points you toward what is true, what is sacred, what needs healing. Tell me, how many times have you felt something deeply that no one around you seemed to notice? How many nights have you cried for reasons you couldn't even explain in words? That pain wasn't random. It wasn't a sign of failure. It was a sign that your spirit was alive, awake, and in tune with something greater than the surface. The world tells us to numb it, suppress it, push it down. But the Spirit says, "Blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted." The mourning isn't a punishment, it's a passage, it's a purification, it's a holy release. You weren't meant to be hard, you were meant to be soft enough for God to move through. When you try to silence emotional pain, you also silence your intuition. When you bury it, you bury your compass. That's why your healing isn't in avoidance, it's in acknowledgement. That ache in your chest, that lump in your throat, that heaviness in your bones, it's not weakness, it's wisdom in another form. Some of your greatest spiritual downloads will come through your deepest emotional suffering, because pain opens what pride keeps closed. Pain strips away performance. It puts you face to face with yourself. And that's where real transformation begins. God is not absent in your pain. He is closest in that space. The word says, "The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit." That verse wasn't written for the strong. It was written for the ones holding on by a thread, for the ones who have learned to weep in silence. For you, your emotional pain is sacred. It's the birthplace of compassion. It's what allows you to see others with depth, to speak to their soul, not just their situation. It's what makes you a healer, a seer, a guide. But before that pain can become power, you must stop running from it. You must sit with it, feel it, let it show you where the light needs to enter. And when you do, something shifts. You begin to realize that every tear you've cried has watered the soil of your soul, that nothing was wasted, that your emotional depth is your superpower, and that the same pain that once made you feel like an outsider is the very pain that qualifies you to carry divine wisdom. So breathe, chosen one. Let the ache be seen. Let it speak. Let it lead you inward to the part of yourself that's never stopped believing, even when everything else fell apart. Your pain is not the end of your story. It's the thread that weaves you back to your origin, back to the God who gave you this heart not to harden it, but to heal through it. There is a moment, quiet and nearly invisible, when something inside you decides to rise again. Not because life got easier, not because the pain vanished, but because your soul remembered it was born to get back up. This is that moment, chosen one. When the rubble beneath your feet starts to feel less like an ending and more like a foundation. You see, rising doesn't always look like triumph. Sometimes it looks like wiping your eyes in the dark and whispering, "I'm not done yet." It looks like showing up to your own soul, even when no one is watching. It looks like letting the first light back in after seasons of silence. Not to run, not to perform, just to feel warmth again. There's a lie we've been taught, that healing is loud, fast, visible. But real rising is sacred. It is slow. It happens in hidden corners. It's not about becoming who you were before everything fell apart. It's about becoming someone who could only exist because it did. The pain didn't come to destroy you. It came to reveal what could no longer stay buried. And that revelation, it changes everything. Because now you begin to see with new eyes, eyes that no longer search for approval but for alignment, eyes that are tired of pretending, tired of rushing, tired of trying to meet standards you never agreed to. Let me show you a truth. You do not need to rebuild the life you had. That life served its time. That version of you completed its assignment. What you're being called to now is not a return, it's a resurrection. Rising begins when you stop asking, "How do I get back to who I was?" and start asking, "Who am I now that I've survived?" Because there's wisdom in the wounds, there's strength in the stillness, there's light growing quietly under your scars. Think of it this way. A forest after fire looks dead. Charred trees, silence, smoke. But in time, new life breaks through. And it's not just any life. It's stronger, deeper, wilder. Because fire doesn't just destroy, it purifies. And you, beloved soul, are walking through your own sacred fire. What rises from your ashes will not be the same. And it's not supposed to be. You are not the same. The heartbreak carved you. The silence refined you, the delay deepened you, and all of it has shaped you into someone who can now carry light without losing yourself in the process. Let this be the first light, not a flash, not a firework, just a flicker of remembering that you are still here, that the story is not over, that you are breathing, and that breath carries divine permission to begin again. You don't need permission from the world. You don't need an audience, you don't need proof. The rising is sacred because it happens in secret. God sees it, heaven records it, the ground beneath you feels it. So today, don't rush to rebuild, just rise. Even if it's slow, even if you're still trembling, even if your voice still cracks, just rise. Let the light find you. Let the rubble become holy ground. And let every broken piece you carry become a testimony that says, "I rose not because I was ready, but because I was called." The first light is here, chosen one. Step into it. Now that you've risen from the ashes, the question becomes, what do you build with what's left? Not the life you had, not the identity the world once celebrated, but something deeper, truer, something that can hold your soul without cracking, and that, chosen one, begins with the temple within. You see, we are all walking sanctuaries. The body is not just flesh, it's a living altar. The heart is not just emotion, it's a sacred chamber. And when life tears everything down, it's not to leave you exposed. It's to reveal the places inside you that were never truly inhabited by truth. Rebuilding begins in silence, in prayer, in walking barefoot across your own pain, not to avoid it, but to anoint it. This is no longer about patching up the outer world. This is about asking your soul, what do I want to feel safe inside myself again? And then waiting, listening, honoring what rises. You do not need to rush this process. God is not in a hurry with you. He is exact, intentional, patient. He builds slowly what he plans to keep forever. The inner temple you are now constructing will not just shelter your dreams, it will shelter your destiny, and that's why every piece of you must be chosen carefully. Let go of anything that was built out of fear. Let go of the voices that told you to be smaller. Let go of the beliefs that made you hide your light. Those were never part of your sacred structure. Instead, bring in the stones of truth, the beams of grace, the windows of wisdom. Create space for stillness, not performance. For faith, not fear. For realignment, not rushing. And let your soul breathe in its own walls. This inner temple is not built with hands. It's built with remembrance. The remembrance of who you were before the world told you who to be. The remembrance of who God said you are when no one else was looking. And the remembrance that being chosen doesn't mean being perfect. It means being devoted. Let me tell you what happens in this space. The shame begins to lift. The timelines begin to loosen. The striving begins to soften. And what remains is sacred presence. The kind that can't be shaken by outside chaos. The kind that makes your soul a safe place to live again. The word says, "Do you not know that you are God's temple and that God's Spirit dwells in you?" That means the divine isn't far off. It's within. And your healing is not about reaching out. It's about returning in. So begin again. Light a candle in your spirit. Sweep the corners of your thoughts. Tear down any altar to fear you once built in haste. And let the holy take up residence again. You are worthy of a life that feels like peace inside your own skin. If this resonates with you, if you feel the stirring to begin building the life your soul was always meant to inhabit, then comment 444 below as a sign that your inner temple is being restored. And remember, whenever the world gets too loud, this space is here. Come back and rest in the sanctuary of your own sacred becoming. You are not too late. You are not too far gone. You are the temple. You are the vessel. You are the chosen one who is learning to live again from the inside out. There comes a moment after the rubble, after the tears, after the slow, sacred rebuilding, when you begin to walk again. Not just physically, spiritually, emotionally. You rise, not as the version the world knew, but as the soul God remembered. This is where you step back into your divine identity, not borrowed, not manufactured, but born again from the fire you survived. You see, divine identity isn't about pretending to be holy. It's about remembering that you already are. It's about walking in alignment with the truth that you were chosen by God, not for comfort, but for calling. Not because you were flawless, but because you were faithful. Even in silence, even in pain, even when you questioned if any of it still mattered, you didn't quit. You may have wept, you may have wandered, but something in you stayed open to the light. And that light is what God uses. Not your perfection, your permission. The moment you say, "Here I am," even if you're shaking, heaven hears it. Now is the time to wear your name again. Not the one the world gave you, but the one written in spirit. The one that carries weight, the one that doesn't apologize for your anointing. There is no more shrinking. No more shrinking to fit rooms that reject your presence. You've outgrown the cages of approval. This world is aching for those who carry clarity, not opinions. Clarity. And clarity comes from fire, from walking through the storm and coming out with nothing but your truth. That's where you are now, chosen one. You are not behind. You are right on divine time. And it's time to walk in your full soul stature, time to speak with authority, not arrogance, time to move with intention, not urgency, time to lead, even if no one claps. Because you don't lead for applause. You lead because you've seen the valley and now carry the map. Do not let your past roles define you. Do not let your former confusion disqualify you. Every part of your journey was a classroom, and now you graduate into clarity, into calling, into Christ consciousness, into sacred service. The Bible reminds us, "I will give you a new heart and put a new spirit in you." You're not here to recycle old habits with new language. You're here to embody a new order, to let your presence speak before you say a word. Chosen one, Your walk now is not about being seen. It's about seeing. Seeing yourself rightly, seeing others compassionately, seeing the divine in every delay, in every detour, because you no longer walk for validation. You walk as confirmation. This is who you are now. Not the wounded, but the witness. Not the struggler, but the steward. Not the one waiting to be chosen, but the one who knows. They were always chosen. You didn't miss your moment. You were being made ready for it. Now walk. Let every step be a hymn. Let your silence carry thunder. Let your life be the proof of what God can build from ashes. Walk in divine identity and never apologize for the fire it took to remember your name. Now that you remember who you are, there is one more truth you must carry. Your rising was never just for you. The healing you fought for, the silence you survived, the sacred wisdom you've gathered in the dark, all of it was preparing you to become a lighthouse for others. Not a savior, not a spotlight. A quiet, steady presence that helps others find their way through storms you've already walked through. You see, chosen ones aren't just marked by pain. They're marked by purpose. There's a reason your path was so steep. There's a reason your tears were so frequent. There's a reason your timeline didn't look like theirs. You were never meant to follow the crowd. You were meant to carry light into places where no one else would go. Let me show you the truth behind your trials. Every betrayal that hollowed your heart, every season of spiritual dryness, every time you thought God had gone silent, those moments didn't just break you. They built you. They constructed within you a sensitivity to suffering, a depth of presence, a discernment that cannot be taught. Now you carry what many cannot. And the world is hungry for what you've learned in secret. People are drowning in shallow waters, calling out for something real. And you, chosen one, are the one who can look into their chaos and say, I know this storm. I lived through it. And I promise there is still light ahead. But being a lighthouse is not about being loud. It's about being lit. It's about standing in your truth even when no one understands you. It's about refusing to dim your light to make others comfortable. Because the people who are meant to find you will feel you before they ever hear you. This is where your life shifts from survival to service. Not the kind of service that drains you, but the kind that pours out from the overflow. Because now, you're not trying to fix others. You're simply showing up in your wholeness, and your presence becomes a map for the lost. The weight you've carried has now become your oil. The oil that will heal, guide, and anoint others. The pain you thought would bury you has now crowned you with quiet authority. You are no longer just a seeker, you are a signpost. Let your light shine without fear. Let it reach those in the same dark corners you once cried in. Let your story become sacred medicine. Speak even when your voice shakes. Show up even when you feel small. Because light doesn't need to explain itself. It only needs to shine. The Bible says, "You are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden." You are that city now. That soul who once lived in shadows, now glowing with the fire of divine remembrance. So if you feel ready to carry that light, if you feel the call to stop hiding and start guiding, comment 999 below. Let this be your quiet declaration, not of perfection, but of presence, not of control, but of calling. And whenever the world gets too heavy, come back to this space. Come back and remember that you are not alone. You are not forgotten. You are the lighthouse the storm couldn't put out, and you were always meant to rise so others could see. Take a breath, chosen one. You've walked through fire in this message. You've stared into the mirror of your own soul and begun to remember the truth the world made you forget. You were never lost. You were never too late. You were only being refined in sacred silence. Let this final moment settle into your spirit, not as an ending, but as a returning. Returning to who you were before the world told you to shrink. returning to the voice of God within you that never stopped speaking. Returning to the strength you forgot was always yours. You see, everything the universe tore down was never meant to stay. Every illusion, every false role, every performance, it all had to go so that you could finally meet yourself again. Not the version built for survival, but the one destined to shine. Whenever you forget, come back here. Whenever the weight returns, come back here. Whenever your soul grows tired of carrying truth alone, come back here. Because this isn't just a video, it's a sanctuary, a sacred place where your pain has permission and your light has room to rise. Let the words stay with you. You were chosen by God, not in spite of your brokenness, but through it. You have not missed your moment. You are not behind. You are exactly where you are meant to be, at the edge of something holy. Now, if this message stirred something in you, if it reminded you that you are part of something eternal, then comment 777 below. Let it be your spiritual signature, your confirmation to heaven and to yourself that you're walking forward from here, not in fear, but in fire. And if you haven't already, subscribe to this space, not just for content, but for communion, for sacred remembrance, for divine alignment. This space is not for everyone. It's for the chosen. And if you've come this far, then you are one of us. Let the final word come not from me, but from the Spirit. Behold, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs forth. Do you not perceive it? The new thing is you. Walk in it. Speak from it. Rest in it. And whenever the world gets too heavy, this space is here. Come back and rest your soul. You are home.